Welcome to Neighbor Power. Woo! So glad to see you all here today. We have record-breaking attendance scheduled for today. Good job. Way to go. So how many of you have been to Neighbor Power before? Excellent. How many of you are first-timers? Wow, that's fabulous. Thank you so much for coming out and spending your day with us. How many are first-time presenters? Anybody in the office presenting, in the audience presenting? First time. And how many of you have presented in the past? Thank you so much. So you know by now, Neighbor Power is all about neighbors learning from neighbors. So we really appreciate your coming out to share your positive stories, powerful change. So I'd like to ask, first of all the committee members for Neighbor Power to stand up, or if you're in the room. Is there anybody in here? Ryan's in the back, Patrice is over on the side. We have our co-chairs up front. So the committee members all have black ribbons. It says committee. If you've got questions during the day, find one of us and we'll be able to help you. All right, housekeeping rules. Who has a cell phone? Let me see him. Take him out. Show me, show me. How many of you are on Twitter? Okay. If you decide to send out a tweet today, the hashtag is NP2015. N as in Nancy, P as, or N as in neighbor, P as in power, 2015. All right, for the rest of you, silence, off, vibrate for the rest of the day, okay? Because we have a lot of people today that are going to tell you a lot of really cool stuff, and you want to be able to hear them, and we appreciate your cooperation. Thank you. So also, more important even than turning off your cell phones, and I'll put mine away now, the bathrooms. So the restrooms are on the first floor. The men's is located right out of across from Marion Hall, or from the theater here, and we are in Marion Theater. That'll be important for later. The ladies is just through the double doors to your right when you're leaving. It'll be the first door on your right. However, all of the classrooms are on the second and third floor. So on the second and third floor, the ladies' rooms are directly above us, and the men's rooms are at the very far end of the hall. Just FYI. You'll want to know that later, I'm sure. We ask that you please have no food or drink when you're here in the theater, but you are welcome to take food and drink to your classrooms, and there will be a light breakfast on your way out the door. We'll have fruit, granola bars, coffee, tea, and water. So feel free to grab whatever you'd like on your way. And thank you. Now, before I introduce our co-chairs, I need to thank our sponsors. Our presenting sponsor is Citizens Energy Group, in partnership with the City of Indianapolis and the Indianapolis Neighborhood Resource Center. Neighbor Power is a free gathering to inspire greater Indy neighborhoods. So in addition to Marion University and Citizens Energy Group, Neighbor Power would not be possible, would not exist without the support provided by the Marion County Public Health Department. They've been our sponsor for each of the 5 Neighbor Powers to date. Is there anyone here from the Marion County Health Department? There he is in the back. For those of you in neighborhoods, you know Mr. Anthony. He's everywhere. Thank you, Anthony. Also, returning sponsors include the Local Initiative Support Corp and the Central Indiana Community Foundation. Do we have anyone from any of those organizations here yet? They will be assisting later in the day. So thank you to those sponsors. Also, a special welcome to our first-time sponsors, IUPUI, Bright House Cable, and Bright House Networks and Comcast. Make sure that you check out the Bright House and Comcast tables during the course of the day and find out about their low-cost internet for low-income families. Their tables are set up just on the other side of where breakfast will be on your way out. We want to say thanks to Clear Channel, who donated the space for 4 billboards. How many of you saw our billboards around town? Pretty cool. Did you recognize the people on them? Were the faces familiar? We used neighborhood folks because we wanted you to be able to identify with them. Lighthouse Charter Academy school students are here filming today under the direction of Adrian Mickens, who is the music and technology instructor and also the owner of Soul Hits Entertainment, LLC. And they will be videotaping all of our sessions throughout the course of the day. Those will then be made available on the Neighbor Power website. So if there was something that you missed today that you want to go back and watch, you'll be able to do that. Channel 16 will be here today, taping the Neighborhood Forum this afternoon. And that will also then play in a loop on Channel 16, expanding the reach of Neighbor Power and Indianapolis neighborhoods all over Marion County. Great Schools provided the tote bags that your goodie bags are in, your goodie bags. Inside those bags, you'll find, among other things, the Great Schools Guide. And the Great Schools Guide is just an opportunity for parents to make more of an informed choice when they are looking for the right school to send their child to. We thank them for all of the bags and for their hard work and dedication. Thank you also to all of our in-kind and our prize sponsors. They are, at some point, listed on the screen behind me. Finally, we've got some great prizes to give away this afternoon during the awards presentation at 2:40, right back here in the theater. So you're going to want to stick around, pick up your ticket on the way back into the theater when you come in. Fabulous prizes, including tickets to the Pacers game for the Celtics on November the 4th. So now I'd like to introduce and thank our co-chairs for this event. Deb Lawrence is the Vice President for Administration and General Counsel for Marian University. Thank you, Deb, for hosting Neighbor Power for the second time in a row here at Marian University. We appreciate the support from Deb and her staff and the Technology Department for their assistance in making Neighbor Power run smoothly. Yvonne Perkins is the Vice President of Corporate Communications and the Chief Diversity Officer with Citizens Energy Group. We value Citizens Energy Group's ongoing support of neighbors and Neighbor Power. As this year's presenting sponsor, Citizens Energy's support exemplifies today's theme, electrifying our future. Together we are the energy which powers our future. So, Yvonne?
Good morning. I am excited to add my welcome to this year's Neighbor Power to that of Lisa's. I ask you to kind of forgive my voice this morning. A couple of days ago, I went to the allergy doctor and I was feeling fine. This was just my monthly allergy shot, kind of a maintenance kind of thing. And she immediately told me, well, you know, this is high ragweed season. And immediately my voice left. It was just something about her telling me that we were in the midst of this flurry of ragweed that it just left. So it will come back later on, I hope, during the day, but just know that it's my allergy doctor's fault that I'm in this predicament this morning. Today, as you crawled out of bed and you were all nestled in there and warm and thought, why am I getting up this morning? Well, just know that there are over 350 of your neighbors from around the county here with you to learn more about what's happening across the city. We have representatives from more than 50 community-based organizations and 90 neighborhood associations. And this is the largest group ever, so give yourselves a hand. You know, there's broad representation and an opportunity for you to network and learn about things that are happening from all 9 townships, again, across the county. We have more workshops this year than ever before, and listening to your feedback and listening to the fact that it is so difficult for you to decide which workshop to attend, guess what? All of the workshops are going to be videotaped, and you can go to the website and view those that you didn't have an opportunity to attend. So just know that at the end of the day, when you do give your feedback, the committee listens and adjusts and adapts and wants to make sure that you get the most out of today's overall event. For the past 6 years, Neighbor Power has been sharing inspiring stories of neighbors coming together to address challenges in their areas and finding creative and transformative solutions and sharing those successes. You know, the dialogue that you will have today will inspire others to bring their communities together and to improve their neighborhoods as well. When we look across the city today, there are so many neighborhoods that have been revitalized, that are seeing new investment and new development happening everywhere. I just love seeing the fences around construction areas. And you know, nobody seems to put up a sign immediately to tell me what it is they're getting ready to build. So the anticipation builds as I see those developments happening. But it's happening all across Indianapolis, and it's happening in each of your neighborhoods. And so we have thriving communities where people want to live, where people want to work, they want to have their families there, and we all like to play. So let's keep the energy going today at Neighbor Power, and when we return back to our neighborhoods, we're going to keep that energy going there as well. I'll be back a little later on at lunchtime with some more information, but for now, I'll turn it over to Deb.
Good morning, everybody. Let me welcome you to Marian University on behalf of President Elsner and our trustees, faculty, staff, and our students who are on fall break and aren't thinking about us at all. So, having just gotten through their midterms. So, we're thrilled to have you here for the second year in a row. Hopefully this is not your first time at Marian. Even if it is, though, please come back. There's lots going on here. We're very proud to be an anchor institution in particularly this neighborhood, but in our city as well. So I have the great pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, and it's always inspiring and interesting to me to find out what other women attorneys are doing with their lives. So she is an attorney, and her journey in her current iteration started by buying an abandoned home in her neighborhood and rehabbing it with her daughter. And then they did another one and another one, and this has led to significant impacts in neighborhoods. It's also resulted in them becoming the stars of an HGTV series, Two Chicks and a Hammer. So we'll look forward to hearing more about how this all evolved from one effort into national celebrity. And please join me in welcoming Karen E. Lane to Marian University and to Neighbor Power.
It's still so weird to hear people say I'm a celebrity. I'm just Karen. I live in Indianapolis. Do I have a picture up there? Oh, that's not the first one. Have they been running?
No. But you need to point around behind you.
I need to point that way?
Yeah.
I'm going to get to my first picture. It's okay, you're getting a little preview here.
It's always the technology.
There ought to be a way I can just go. Oh, we're almost there. Almost there. So close. Ta-da, come on. There we go. First, I'm going to tell you a little tiny bit about myself. I am a practicing attorney, but more important than that, my roots are in the Midwest. My mother was born and raised in Richmond, Indiana, my father in Columbus, Ohio. They met, they fell in love, and for job reasons moved east. I was born in Connecticut, raised in Connecticut, but moved back here as a young adult. This is where I have my children. All my children were born in Indianapolis, and this is my home. I'm a Midwesterner at heart. I was raised by Midwesterners. My children were born in Indianapolis. I love this city. I've always loved this city from the day I moved here. The people here are open and welcoming and friendly, and we have an amazing city. And all of you here know how much it's changed over the last 30 years. I've been here about 33 years, so I probably haven't been here as long as some, maybe a little longer than others. But we're all here for our own reasons, and mine is because this is home. I got my bachelor's degree from Indiana Wesleyan University. They had an outreach program, so I took all my classes here in Indianapolis, and I got a business degree. Then I went to law school at IU here in Indianapolis, and I've been a practicing lawyer 23 years, I think. I was a little slow out of the gate on that one. I have put my law practice on sabbatical to focus on the production of the television show that was mentioned, because it's absolutely impossible to film TV for 8 to 10 hours a day and also practice law, in case anyone was wondering. So back in 2006, my daughter had graduated from college. She went to IU in Bloomington. She had a general studies degree. All of her friends were doing grown-up things like getting jobs. She will tell you, she never wanted a job that she couldn't wear yoga pants. So instead of getting a real grown-up job, she thought, well, I'll do another grown-up thing. I'll buy a house. When she started looking for a house in a really, really decrepit neighborhood so she could afford it, I thought, it would really make a lot more sense for me to have a law office in a home in a neighborhood. That's more my style. And I was renting space from a friend. We had a great space, but it just really wasn't what I wanted. So I started looking around downtown Indianapolis in 2006 because I wanted to be close to the courthouse. And I discovered a neighborhood called Fountain Square, where I could buy a perfectly nice house that had absolutely nothing wrong with it. It had 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a living room, a kitchen, nice little front yard, backyard, for $55,000. And that was in 2006, and that is unheard of. That's ridiculous. How do you buy a house for $55,000 that there's really nothing wrong with? So I bought my house, and very shortly after that, my daughter found her house. And this is a much better story. She bought a house at 23rd and Carrollton. Who here is familiar with 23rd and Carrollton? Yes, all right. So that's a neighborhood that's been struggling for a long time. And this is the house she bought at 23rd and Carrollton. And the inside, I'm not going to show you insides because we don't have time to go through all those slides. The inside was an abomination. But it was $37,000, and we could get a loan from HUD to buy the house and do the renovation work. I had to co-sign for her, and we couldn't afford to hire a contractor. So this was a big craft project for me. We discovered my daughter is a genius with spatial arrangement. It's a gift from God that she uses to benefit our neighborhoods, and it's amazing. She walked into this house and she's like, well, this is the living room, and the kitchen goes here, and the bathrooms go here, and we're gonna rework this, and we're blah, blah. And I just stood there amazed. I still can't do that. I don't know how she does it. That's part of why we've been successful, is because she has that talent. So this is what it looked like when we were done on the outside. And I want you to think, if that house had been across the street from you in its first iteration, how you would have felt about your neighbor. One of the challenges in this neighborhood is it's still, it's very crime-ridden. And Mina lived in that house, I lived in that house. I lived there for, I don't know, a year. She lived there for 6 or 7 years. And we were there all the time. Even when I wasn't living there, I visited all the time. There were crack dealers across the street. And the nice thing about crack dealers across the street, in case you haven't thought about this, is we had 24-hour security. And this is the unspoken rule in the neighborhood. If it's on our porch, it's ours. Don't take it. If it's on the sidewalk, knock and ask. If it's on the street, it's yours. Take it. Whenever we had any kind of gathering, and we had people over and we made food, we always brought a plate across the street to the crack dealers. Always. At that time, I was working as a deputy prosecutor, and I didn't want the crack dealers to know that I was a deputy prosecutor because I thought that could go badly for all of us. And no matter that these people have chosen an illegal business, they're still my neighbors. And I don't think they picked this business because they woke up one morning and thought, this is a great idea. Let me engage in a business where I'm likely to die or go to prison. I don't think that's what's happening. And I say this as a former deputy prosecutor. I don't think most crime, I mean, there's sociopaths out there that just do evil things, that happens. But most people come to criminality out of necessity or really, really bad day. Domestic violence, that's a really bad day. Nobody woke up in the morning and thought, I'd like to beat my wife and go to jail. Or, it is the 21st century, I'd like to beat my husband and go to jail. Nobody woke up in the morning and thought that. It was a really bad day, and there was lots of problems that led up to that. And I say that because eventually these crack dealers did go to jail. They had 2 dogs. We got into the house and we saved the dogs. When they get out of prison, unfortunately, we'd had to adopt out the dogs because they were heathens. We didn't have them anymore. But we were their neighbors to the extent we could be their neighbors, and they were our neighbors. I did learn from those neighbors that when the SWAT van rolls up and says, everybody get down, to the people across the street, I will also get down. That will happen. You're not talking to me, I'm still getting down. I'm going to sit till you're gone. So that's how we started. The next house we did, there we go. That's my office in Fountain Square. And that's, I made that sign with a router because that's how cheap I am. I'm not buying a sign. I'm going to find some old wood, I'm going to route it, and I'm going to paint it. And it was originally clean and tidy and well maintained, but not as pretty as that, right? I had no yard, I had no trees, I had vinyl siding, and I had aluminum clad windows. And I changed it to fiber concrete siding. I put in some trees, I made a yard, I put in a little retaining wall, and I think I made the sign look a little better. I'm not sure. And that's early on. The shrubs all grew up, they covered that. In this neighborhood, what I learned about was picking up curd muck, blowing trash, and domestic violence. I actually had a situation in my backyard where a young man was very agitated because his girlfriend was moving out. And his grandparents were helping her. They were not on his team. They were trying to keep him calm. It was hot, it was summertime, and having been a deputy prosecutor and understanding how domestic violence happens, I could see the signs. He was sweating, he'd been drinking, he was moving in that way that agitated people move. And this is not a good plan. It's almost as bad a plan as giving a plate to the crack dealers, almost. But I intervened. I asked the grandparents, the situation looks a little tense. Is there something I can do to help? Do you want me to just take him inside where it's cooler and get him a drink of water? Do you need me to call the police? What do you need? And they said, if you would take him inside and get him a drink of water, that would be great, because then we can finish loading up his girlfriend and we can get her out of here. Not everybody is called to this kind of neighborhood intervention. Luckily for me, it went very well. He was drunk and he lost track of what he was doing. He went inside, got some water, and then realized, oh, my girlfriend's leaving me, ran back outside, and we were all good. So once I bought this office and we had fixed up this office and we'd fixed up my daughter's house, the next thing we did is we bought this little HUD house on Olive Street, and it too was 100% habitable. We bought this for $10,000. It was sad. It needed some updating, but everything worked. So we turned it into that. We rented it for 2 years to a family friend who took really good care of it, and then we sold it. Then we bought this house. On Woodlawn. If you're noticing a theme, all of these houses are in Fountain Square, because the way we choose to make a difference is to rehabilitate our neighborhood. We do it one house at a time because we use our own money, we use our own tools, we use our own hands. And so it takes us a while. That's that house when it was done. Our next house was also on Olive Street, and it was at this point when we bought this house, we thought, this is a business. People really like what we do. We're really having a good time doing it. We think we're doing something good in the world. We need to give it a name. And we spitballed a lot of names, and my daughter said, 2 chicks and a hammer, and I said, done. It's fun, it's true. We're just 2 chicks with a hammer, that's all it is. Most of the time we don't even have power tools, we just have hammers. We've purchased over 30 properties in Indianapolis. Almost all of them are in the Fountain Square, Bates Hendricks area. We have rehabilitated 20 properties, and we're so lame. I hate to confess this to all you nice people, but we don't always get before and after pictures. So we don't have pictures of all of our properties. We are currently in production for our TV show, which I'll tell you about next, and we are working on 8 properties. The series called for us to do 10 renovations. The original proposition was we would do 4 complete rehabs like we do, and there'll be a picture in here that I'll show you about how we do it. And the production company, High Noon, they are awesome. They're absolutely awesome. They would cast 6 homeowner renovations for us. If you've been around Fountain Square and Bates Hendricks, you will understand that homeowner renovations really need to go down to the studs. If you're living in a house that needs some rehab in Fountain Square, it probably needs a lot. And unfortunately, because of that, people didn't have the budget for homeowner renovations to be cast. So instead of us doing 4 rehabs, we're doing 7, which is huge. We're doing complete rehabs of 7 houses, and then we have 3 homeowner renovations. You'll enjoy this. One of the homeowner renovations is my first husband, my daughter's father. We've been divorced for a long time. We get along really well, and I probably know him better than anyone else, and so it's interesting. That's what that one looked like afterwards. That's one of my favorites because I always want to put glass block in houses, and I talked my daughter into it in this house. It's in a bathroom high up on a wall, and it makes art on the wall. When the light comes through, the shadows move, and it's just gorgeous. Consider glass block. Don't put it everywhere. This one, we do not have an after. You can go down Elm Street and you can see this one. Oh, wait a minute. Is that? Let me go back. These are different houses. This one, we don't have a before. That's the after. That's also on Elm Street. This is what we do to our houses. And the reason we do this is because this is what you have to do in Fountain Square if you're going to rehabilitate the neighborhood. We have never opened up a house that doesn't have significant termite damage. Usually, we have foundation problems. We've had 2 houses with live termites, and you'll be pleased to know termites are delicious. We had a little contest with my, family's so complicated. My first ex-husband's third wife's son. His mother's now deceased, so I'm his only mother on the planet, and we challenged each other to a termite eating contest, and they don't taste bad at all. You know what, this is a good audience. I'm going to tell you another little story right here. I like practical jokes. One of the things I like to say about our houses is we're lucky if we've had a fire because it's burned some of the trash and the feces. Okay, that's just the house. Those are the houses we buy. And that's true. And because that's true, there's not a single house we've ever gone into that doesn't have some sort of feces in it. We thought we'd play a little practical joke. You folks may not know this, but there's this product out there called Poo-Dough. And it comes with a mold, so you can put the Play-Doh in the mold and you can make a little mold that looks like poop. Is there someone who's going to be really offended by this? Raise your hand. Okay, good. You're my people. This is my tribe right here. So my husband took some Roslyn brownies, and they have little walnuts in them, and he made these little molds. And he put them in the freezer, and we just waited for the right time. And there's a house on our street that we're rehabbing, and it was perfect. There was a pile of dried up poo right here. So we got the brownies out of the freezer, put them on a clean, like, marsh bag in another corner. And we always walk through the house with our general contractor and Tad, the one who ate the termite. His name's Tad. And we like to bet him to do things. So we get up there, and there's this poo, and it's been sitting out from having been in the freezer, so it's got a little glisten on it from the condensation. So it looks really fresh. And my daughter Mina says to Tad, "I'll give you $50 to eat that." And both Tad and our general contractor, who is also kin, you want to know how he's kin? I'm going to tell you. My first ex-husband's third wife's first and third husband. There we go. So he is stepfather to Tad because when third wife remarried him, he became stepfather. So Mina's like, "I'll give you $100 to eat that poop." And Tad's saying, "There's no way I'm eating poop. There's no way, it's not happening." And his stepfather, our general contractor, Leonard, is like, "What is wrong with you? You people aren't right." And Mina says, "I will give you $200 to eat that poop." And I'm like, "It's mine." And I grab it and I put it in my mouth. Best practical joke ever. They both lost their minds. It's great. Tad actually vomited in the corner. It was perfect. So when we take a house down like this, our neighbors hate us because there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of trash. We're very good about cleaning up our trash, but our workers sometimes leave cups around. I like to go to the work site at night and clean up all their trash. But this way, this house is sound and it's going to last another 100 years. If there are active termites, we're going to treat it. This is what that house looked like when it was done. This was a really bold choice for us. We're really careful with color, and green and pink is risky. It's just risky. And we knew that when we did it, but it was so fun. This is a hard one to see, I apologize. There were 2 houses we bought right next to each other from the city when the program was called Transform, what is it, TNT? Transfer and Transform. That program is defunct, it's been replaced by Renew. But we bought these, we call them our twins. This is what they look like now. And these are on my street, so I get to see them every day. That's a house where I lived. You see that person in the lower right-hand corner? I look terrible in that picture, so I blurred myself out. This is my old house. This is what it looked like when it was done. This is my daughter's house. We live next door to each other now. That's what her house looked like when we started. This house had no hookup to city sewer. I don't know where the sewage was going. It was never hooked up. So I graciously let her hook up to my sewer so she wouldn't keep pumping raw sewage into the ground. And that's what it looked like when it's almost done. It's got some more decoration that goes on it. That's the house I bought next door. I don't think, nope, no after picture. This is another house that I don't think we have an after. This house, it's so closed and so sad. Now look at it. It says, hello, come sit on my porch. Again, sort of sad. That's partway through, and that's how we finished it up. This is another problem we have. Anybody who's rehabbing houses, this is the backyard at that house I just showed you. This happened twice a year. I had to go and take 5 truckloads of grass, trees, weeds that would grow up. And that's after. Oh, thank you. So this one, we don't have, this is one, which one is that? Don't have an after of that one. This is our pilot house. When I say pilot, we filmed a pilot back in, and I'll talk to you about the show now, since we're on that house. We filmed a pilot back in September and early October of 2014. Did anybody of you see it on HGTV? I have a couple hands. That's what it looked like when we were done. Because of that pilot, HGTV liked us enough that they signed us up for a series. So we're in production now. I told you we're doing 10 more houses, and when I leave here, I am going to put on overalls and go start demolition on another house. And I think that's my last picture. Oh no, that's Barth Street. That will be the first, I'm not showing you an after. That'll be the first in the series. That'll be the first episode that airs. It should air sometime early 2016. We don't know exactly when. So this is how you get a TV show if you're busy trying to change the world in a small neighborhood in Indianapolis just by doing little things one day at a time. Somebody at high noon who searches for talent gets a call from HGTV. We're looking for a specific kind of talent. Do you have any? She's like, I can find them. I hope I don't offend anybody here, but what they were actually looking for were lesbians. HGTV wanted some lesbian contractors. I don't know why. I can't explain that. So someone at high noon, Tina Sealer, who's really, really nice, started scouring social internet, whatever, social networking, looking for a lesbian contracting team. And she found Mina and I. We are not lesbians, but she liked what she saw. So she called my daughter on the phone, and this is really funny. In this day and age, you get a phone call from a complete stranger who's talking about putting you on TV. You're immediately on alert that they're trying to do something shady. Good girl, I raised her right. She doesn't have a lawyer for a mom for nothing. So after the phone call, she calls me and she says, this lady called me. She was asking all kinds of questions about me and my business. I said, did she ask your social security number? Driver's license number, home address? No, you're fine, don't worry. So then we did some research about High Noon, and it turns out the lady who called actually works there. It's a real thing, and we set up a Skype interview. My daughter had had a very, very bad day. She rolls into her house. I've got the little iPad all set up, ready to go. She pops open a bottle of wine and starts drinking. I did help her a little. That interview went really well. She was super relaxed. We had a lot of fun. We didn't know it was being recorded. We didn't know that. It ended up, what they do is they sent us some cameras, little flip cams that we used to have, like I think in the 70s, and we just filmed ourselves doing what we do for a couple of weeks. We imposed on the men in our lives. We imposed on complete strangers. One lady came over, wanted to look at a house, and we said, can we film you? She said, no, but I'll film you. And then we sent that media back, and High Noon edited into a thing that's Sizzle. And it's basically how they shop us. So they have 6 minutes of video that they've put together, and I'm going to tell you, they did such a beautiful job. It made us both cry. I still cry every time I watch it. My daughter's amazing. She's beautiful, she's smart, she's funny. They did a beautiful job of showcasing her amazing personality. I'm a little different, and they did a really good job of showcasing my personality too. You'll laugh. There's one point where somebody said something about my tattoo when I was 50, for my 50th birthday, because I'm an old girl, all right? I got a tattoo on my back, and it's impressive. And so the camera's on, and somebody says, so show us your tattoo. And I'm like, really? And I'm going to take all my clothes off to show the tattoo. And my man says, it's not that kind of show. So you don't get to see my tattoo. Sorry about you. HGTV liked the sizzle. They said, make a pilot. So they sent a production crew out in September of last year, and we started production. We demolished and rebuilt that house in 32 days. Typically, Mina and I do 2 to 4 houses a year, typically closer to 2 than 4. So doing a house in 32 days was a push. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. We found a great couple who bought the house, who live in the neighborhood, and so I feel like it was very successful. I was really happy to have had that experience. We had a bunch of friends come to a local place. Anybody know Pure Eatery? It's in Fountain Square. Pure Eatery is really wonderful. And they let us jam the place with all of our friends and watch the pilot on the big TV. And it was really fun and really exciting. And I was a happy camper at that point. If nothing else ever came of this, that would have been fine, because I still get to live in my great city. I still get to fix up houses and bring new great neighbors into the neighborhood. But HGTV liked us. So now we have increased our output by 1,000%, because we're doing 10 houses in 6 months. We usually do 2.5 a year. And that's a lot of work. And TV is not what you think. I'm not an actress. I am comfortable in front of a group. I'm a trial attorney. So I like talking to people, and I'm not afraid of the camera. But what you have to do for TV, you know, who watches HGTV? Okay, good. You see like people in a car driving up to a house, and you're like, oh, they're driving up to the house. That's like 3 seconds of video. That can take 3 hours to shoot. And you drive up, and I get car sick. And my daughter's like backing down the street and driving up. So, one of the really important things about this show, it's worth all the work, and we don't get to spend any time with our men anymore. I got married September 20th, and my husband's like, I originally lost a girlfriend, now I've lost a wife. Like, what? I come home, I go to sleep, I get up, I work. The great thing about making this show is HGTV is a very positive network. This isn't about drama and fighting and stupidity. It's about Indianapolis is an amazing city, and there are lots of people in the city doing amazing things, and they really want to showcase that. So we get a lot of local businesses involved, and so we can showcase our local businesses. So when you watch the series, and I know you all will, just to see our neighborhoods, they show beautiful skyline, beautiful sunset, beautiful houses, friendly, happy people, our cultural trail, all of our sport venues, everything that's great about the city, the art, the culture, but most importantly, the people. And they're going to show that all in a really positive light. And our hope is that we are a small part of making Indianapolis even better than it already is. The important thing from you to take away from this presentation is, there's a couple important things. We don't flip houses. Anybody who says, so, how's your house flipping business going? They get a lecture from me. Mina always goes, oh, I'm sorry you did that. It's going to happen. And they get a lecture. I've whittled it down. To me, flipping houses implies that I go into a neighborhood and I find an undervalued home, I buy it, I put on some paint, and I make a lot of money. And that is not what we do. You could see from the picture where the house is see-through. We strip the house down to its bones, and if its bones are no good, we strip those too. Technically, it's a rehab if we keep one piece of lumber, so we always keep a piece of lumber. We've only had one complete demo. The house had had a fire, and we did have to demolish it completely. But we kept the foundation. And we rebuilt a house on that foundation that belonged in that neighborhood. And we found somebody to buy that house and live in that neighborhood and be a contributing part of that neighborhood. And we stay in that neighborhood. And we keep buying bad houses, really. We try to buy the worst houses and make them the best houses. And it has a ripple effect. A neighbor sees that we've put in new shrubs, we've put up new paint, we have a really shiny new house. They fix up their house a little bit too. Because they're like, oh, someone else is doing something in the neighborhood? I've been waiting for that to happen. I'm going to do it now. I'm not saying it's cause and effect, but I see it happen so often. It really is gratifying to me that people react positively. One neighbor once said to me, I feel so bad that I don't have the money to make my house as nice as yours. I said, don't feel bad. What can I do to help? Do you need help painting? Do you need help cleaning off your porch? What do you need? Don't feel bad. If you want your house to be better, I will help make it better. I can't do that right now, because they keep us too busy, but in January, if you need help, call me. I will have nothing to do in January. We don't operate in a vacuum. There are lots of other people doing really amazing things in our neighborhoods, and I need to give a shout out to all the people who go into transitional neighborhoods and take a risk, because that's what they're doing. We just did our first house east of state, and if you're in Fountain Square, everyone knows you don't go east of state. And we're like, yeah, we do. Come on, everybody come east of state. There are great houses here too. We are also aware that not everybody likes what we're doing. There are people who have complained that gentrification is raising their property taxes and they can't afford their own homes. What I will say to you is, if you show me your old property tax bill and you show me how my improvement on a property in your neighborhood has affected your property tax bill, we'll figure out a way to solve that problem. I don't know exactly how. There's legislation right now in front of the City County Council, and if you're living in your house and you're on a fixed income and your property taxes are going up because of what I'm doing, I want to fix that problem. I don't want to be a detriment to our neighborhood. I love everything about my neighborhood because it's so, I don't know, what's the word? So many different kinds of people with so many different kinds of ideas, and they're all amazing, and we all have a gift to bring to the table, and I honor that in every one of our neighbors. I'm the girl in the neighborhood gets nominated to go talk to the guy with the rooster because I like the rooster. I really want the rooster in the neighborhood, but nobody else does. And he's an angry man. And he's ready to pull out his shotgun on me when I talk about the rooster. I'm like, dude, no, I'm on your team. I love the rooster. What you need to know is not everyone loves the rooster. And if we don't solve this problem together as neighbors, they're going to call the police, they're going to have a noise ordinance violation, and you're going to lose your rooster. And I don't want that to happen. So if there's someplace else the rooster can go and the chickens can stay, that'd be great. So we work through it. Gentrification has effects on everyone. You might lose your rooster, your property taxes might go up. You might not want to live in that neighborhood anymore with those young, urban, professional, new home buyers. It has effects. I'm aware of those effects, and I want to ameliorate them. I already talked a little bit about the domino effect on other people in the neighborhood and on other rehabilitators. When we moved into Bates Hendricks and did our first house there, what we heard from lots of people in the neighborhood is, thank goodness that you're here. We keep hearing from developers, people who rehab houses, that they're waiting for you to do the first house. And then once you come in and you do it and they know it can work, then they'll come. And that's a huge responsibility and a huge compliment. So that's what we do. I hope I haven't taken more than my 15 minutes. I hope I've inspired you. If you can't build houses, clean up the trash in the alley. If you can't clean up the trash in the alley, turn your porch light on. If you need a new light bulb for your porch light, call me. We can all do something, and if we all do it together, we make our city better than it already is. Thanks. What? There's presents. Look at this.
This is just a little thank you from Neighbor Power to Karen. So.
That's really sweet. Thank you.
There you go.
It's funny, we just went to Salt Lake City and did our first home show, and everybody asked us, where's your hammer? I'm going to make this my traveling hammer. I'm just going to put it in the suitcase from now on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. We appreciate you sharing your story with us. So, before we get on with the rest of the day, I'm going to give you a brief outline of the schedule. The 2 workshop times, or session times this morning, all of the workshops are on the 2nd and 3rd floors of Marion Hall. We have 10 workshops with neighborhoods telling you their stories of transformation, or maybe transportation. And then we have 4 kind of 101 workshops on how to engage city resources as a part of improving your neighborhood. Your name tags list the workshops that you signed up for along with the room number on the back. Check that in case you've forgotten. After your second workshop, after the 11 o'clock workshop, 11:15 workshop, please go directly to Alumni Hall for lunch. And the way you will find Alumni Hall, go back behind the statue. There's a hall that goes behind there where you registered, and go all the way back to the back, go out the door. There will be folks in the gray Public Allies AmeriCorps shirts that will help to direct you. It's about a 5-minute walk over to Alumni Hall. It's a beautiful brand new building, and we're pleased to be there. There will be a golf cart out front of the hall here, of the theater. If you have mobility issues and need assistance getting over there, we'll be happy to drive you over. You will have an opportunity at lunch to hear the mayoral candidates. They'll each have 5 minutes to give you their vision for neighborhoods, and they'll stick around afterwards to talk as well. Lunch is a box lunch, so you just pick it up on your way in the door. After lunch, there are a choice of 2 events new this year at Neighbor Power. The Think Tank, and I think more than 100 of you signed up for that. will be a panel of experts from different arenas that will engage neighborhoods, providing thoughts and ideas for their projects that they may be wanting to start or have started and got installed. And then back here in the theater, we'll have Neighborhood Forum. It's brand new as well. This will be an opportunity for neighbors to share their views with decision and policymakers on 2 topics in a public hearing kind of format. The first 7 people who sign up for either of those topics will have the opportunity to be heard. So if you plan to be a part of this, make sure that you get back over here. This room will open up again at 1:15 for you to sign up for one of those 2 topics, and then that session will start at 1:30. At 2:40, everybody comes back for the awards. Neighbor Power 2015 will close with a drawing for 4 tickets to the Mayor's Suite for the Pacers' November 4th game against the Celtics, and that will be for those who registered early. So we put your name into a drawing, and we'll pull those while you're here. You must be present to win. We also have a lot of other prizes, including other sweet tickets to Pacers games, Indy 11 tickets, a zip lining excursion, and more. You must be present to win. So pick up your ticket as you're coming back in at 2:40. So now it's time to move on to the morning workshops. First one's at 10 o'clock, the next one's at 11:15. Moderators will be in your room, and they'll help to keep the presenters on time, and also to remind you at 12:15 to head over for lunch. To get to the workshops, please exit the theater and turn right. Go through the doors into Marion Hall. There's a set of stairway immediately on your right. There are also elevators back behind the statue where you registered, and signs that will point you to that. We've set up breakfast in the hallway, just a light breakfast. There'll be fruit and, like I said, granola bars, coffee, tea, and water. Feel free to grab something on your way up, and have a beautiful day. Thanks again for coming.